do that. We'll get started here. All right, welcome to the City of Troy Board of Park Commissioners meeting for Tuesday, February 4th. Abby, please call the roll.
Mr. Emerick?
Here.
Mr. Harrelson? Mrs. Anderson?
Here.
All righty. First item is to approve the minutes from January 14th. I was the only one not at that meeting, so I did have a chance to read the minutes. Nothing for me to add to that. Did you have anything for it? All right, hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Minutes approved. Heading to our reports. Mr. Drake, how you doing?
Good afternoon, doing well. Just a couple things to add to my report. One, today we started demo of the old light system at North Market softball field. So, that project's been in the works for quite some time, but finally the bases have been delivered for the new poles and the electrical upgrades are complete. We got half of the poles demoed out today and anticipate the rest will come out tomorrow. And then at that point, we're ready for the contractor when they get here. So moving that project along well. And then also our in-house staff has started a demo of the Duke Park baseball and softball restroom building. The interior remodel's underway. Everything's been gutted out and they're starting to get the floors back into shape, and the walls have all been re-drywalled and painted and ready for the new partitions when they get here, hopefully within the next couple of weeks. So that project is moving along well. And then the final thing I wanted to touch on was we thank the platform group and the work that they design work and completion of the new ramps at the skate park, the temporary ramps that are there in place now to replace the ramps that were just too far beyond maintenance and were becoming unsafe. So that work has been completed, and those ramps look really, really nice. And it will be a good gap between what we had and hopefully what is to come for that park.
Okay. How long do those ramps last? Do we know?
We're probably in the short range 5-year mark, maybe. And still have some of the other old steel ramps still in place that are, closing in on 20 years old that we still need to address as well. So
the Duke Park restroom renovation, is that expanding size at all, or is it just upgrading everything?
No, just totally upgrading. It was still the original from when the park was built, so it was time to get the old steel partitions out, and the old paneling came off the walls, and totally patched all that up, and kind of just a facelift for the interior of those restrooms.
And then on the Market Street ball fields, the softball fields, the dreaded question, timelines. Do we know how that timeline outlines with when those fields start to get used?
Yeah, most likely we were hoping we'd be April on that, but considering we haven't taken delivery yet of the actual light poles and lighting fixtures themselves, I don't have an exact time frame, but I have a feeling most likely their season, they start in March.
Yeah, March, right?
They're probably going to start playing games, and the lighting is all outside of the playing area.
Yeah.
So in the laydown area that we specified for the contractor is kind of off to the side, so that I think games can happen safely and material can be there on site and not impact the spring season at all.
Okay.
No night games.
No, not yet.
Okay.
It will be soon to come for us, though.
Alrighty. Any other questions for Mr. Drake? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Siler, how you doing?
Pretty good. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Just one item to add to my report. The reservations for Float Troy started on February 1st for 2025. I think Carrie said there were maybe a dozen reservations so far just over the first couple days. So those will pick up as we get closer to the time frame. And I think there's approximately the same number of dates that we had offered in 2024 that we'll have again in 25. So we'll see how it goes, but the numbers have been consistent over the course of the last 3 or 4 years with the number of tents that we've had rented. So I'd anticipate it'll probably be very similar to what we've experienced in the past.
Yeah, I saw that notification that it went on. I went and looked online about the registration process. Is pretty easy.
Yep.
Just get on there. So, okay. And then I saw warrant got added to the list.
Yes, it did.
Is that right?
Yep.
There you go.
Get your tickets tomorrow if you have your passcode. If
If
not, you're out of luck.
All right. Any other questions?
No.
Mr. Siler? No. All righty, Mr. Booher.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, just only addition to make there is that with warmer weather, we were able to reopen the golf course and driving range as of yesterday. We'll be walking only and just kind of take it day to day with the softness of the conditions right now. But and also it doesn't look like this warm weather is going to last all that long. So, but we are open outdoors as well as still doing plenty of indoor business right now.
I saw the email go out, so people were clearly calling in and asking when it's going to
Oh,
open
no doubt.
the minute
Yeah.
the weather broke.
No doubt.
Yeah, I saw the pictures, which you were.
Yeah, it's actually quite amazing how much it drained from Friday to Sunday. So yeah, it never ceases to amaze me how quickly that water can go away.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Booher? All right. Next up is the Planning Commission. I don't have anything to add. And that takes us into new business. The first item on new business is a recommendation to council to approve the Superior Credit Union sponsorship on the North Market Street baseball field scoreboard. Is there someone here to talk about that?
I've been in communication with baseball boosters, and this falls right in line with our sponsorship menu that we had outlined.
Yep.
With the exception of the panel that they have proposed to purchase is actually smaller than what we had approved.
Okay.
We did have for the large scoreboard a 30-inch tall by 20 feet wide panel. They actually found one through Advantage Signs here in Troy that is 30 inches tall by 12 feet wide. So not quite as wide, or yeah, as wide, but and the only other thing with that is because of the amount of donation and the money was donated before our sponsorship menu had been put into place and approved, they are asking for a 10-year agreement for the sponsorship.
Okay. And how do we have it set up right now? Is 3 years, I believe?
Yes.
The sponsorship.
Yeah.
But their sponsorship donation level exceeded the minimum per year as outlined.
Yes.
So, okay, so is that going to be something we're going to vote on then, or is that?
We are looking for, yes, a vote or a recommendation for a recommendation to council.
For recommendation to council.
Okay, alrighty. Any questions at all? Okay. I will make a, let me pull this up here real quick. I'll make a recommendation to council for the approval of the Superior Credit Union sponsorship sign at North Market Street baseball field scoreboard, and for the 10-year terms as requested due to the donation amount exceeding our menu that we had available. Is there a second? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Approved for recommendation. All right. Anything else to come before the park board before we get into a quick presentation? Yep, Mrs. Knight? I just pointed at you. Sorry about that. It's
All right, no problem.
a school thing.
For your calendar, for the board's calendar, on Monday, February 24th at 6 p.m., council is going to meet as a committee of the whole, chaired by the council president. We'd like to invite the park board to attend that because the presentation is by the landscape architect firm known as POD Design LLC regarding renderings of recommended improvements to Prouty Plaza that could become part of the downtown streetscape safety design project. So you know the streetscape project is being designed.
Absolutely.
And so Prouty, looking at maybe some improvements to Prouty Plaza came up, and so the architectural firm was employed to do that. They went to present some renderings and to get some recommendations, some feedback, whether it should be included.
So that'll be at 6:30 on
6 o'clock,
6 o'clock.
February 24th, right here.
Okay.
That is a normal council committee schedule date.
Okay.
We'll send out an invite reminder, a notice, so to speak, but we wanted to mention that now so you can have it on your calendar.
Yep.
Thank you.
Putting it on there now.
Hopefully that you can attend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Okay. With that, the next thing we have on our agenda is a presentation by Matt Williams for the design for Joe Reardon Skate Park. So Matt, you want to take it away? And I think we need to fire up our projector here, and I'll move out of your way here, man.
Should I aim this up a little bit, or?
Probably, yep. We'll get you fired up.
Well, first off, for those of you who don't know me, I know that we've met one time prior, but because I know that, you know, these are on YouTube and access to the public, I want to introduce myself. My name is Matt Williams. I'm a resident of Troy. I have been a skateboarder most of my life. I'm 48 years old. I've worked in the skateboard industry for 25 years. And I was very instrumental in the very first skate park that was built in Troy, which I don't know if you guys ever met Charles Charette. He's passed, but he took the time to talk to a bunch of skaters who were often being kicked out of areas, and at the time his office was at Hobart Arena, and he came out and just was really inspiring, you know, looking back on all this, and kind of talked to us like, you guys don't have a place to go, you know. So the reason why it's important I talk about this story is that he really inspires the effort to do this, is to have somebody who, you know, listened to a lot of kids, you know, and we all know kids know everything, right? So in hindsight, I understand why it's harder for kids to be heard about this kind of stuff. And having been that kid and been in skateboarding my entire life and then made a career out of it, I want to be a voice for the skateboarders. And I look at things at a much broader, you know, level these days. I mean, you know, I think that's where skateboarders and cities fall short, is when you think about a skate park, you're sort of pigeonholing yourself into it just being a skate park. And I look at this park as a park with a skate park inside of it. So this park is for the entire community. So I want to thank Jeremy over there. Jeremy Drake has been great about just being receptive and making adjustments, you know, based on the means that the city has to work with things, and giving us the trust to do things. You know, recently we had some park improvements, and Jeremy spoke with our guys at Platform Group who we are working with all of this. So it's been really cool to be part of all of this. You know, we're grateful for what we have, and as you probably you're going to see, you know, we have a much bigger dream for this, but, you know, we're going to do the work to hopefully get there. So I wanted to recap really quickly. On the last time that we met with you guys, we showed you the first concept, and the purpose was to really start getting people to think, you know, and outside of just skateboarders, you know, getting inspiring ideas. So part of just some of the elements that we put in there is we put like a basketball court in there and stuff like that. And we followed that with a park survey. And the city of Troy did share that survey. We shared it on all of our social media. So thanks for doing that. So that brings us to the survey portion of you know, kind of recapping on that first presentation. So we had 247 responses for that survey. And just some of the questions, we kept it really short and simple, just because, you know, this information is primarily what I think most cities want to know anyway, and want to make it easy for people to, you know, not have to spend a half an hour to fill out a survey, but you're still getting very valuable information that the city would find helpful to know. So it's what's your age group? What time would you most likely use the park? What is your primary activity? What is your skill level? What's your zip code? What do you want to see in your future skate park? Aside from the skate park and the pump track, what other activities and amenities do you want to see at the park? So these are all open fields, you know, towards the end there that people could weigh in on their feedback aside from just a multiple choice scenario. So, and we don't have to get too far into the weeds on this, but as far as disciplines, skateboarding came to 58%, BMX came to 12%, other 11%, skill levels, intermediate was 54%, beginner 26%, and advanced 17%, use time, early evening 43%, afternoon 30%, late evening 13%, age groups 31 to 50 was 37%, 12 to 30 is 19%, and 16 to 21 was 15%. Zip codes, you know, I think this is big because, I mean, we did obviously have the most right here in Troy for obvious reasons, but there's quite a few zip codes in here for people that would travel. You know, I've seen, I haven't looked at every single zip code, but, you know, Columbus, Cincinnati, Toledo, and then just some highlighted comments. The raw data here is really just like if you want to see the really specific comments about what was said about the park, it's all here, and this is something I sent to Jeremy, and I'm sure he'll probably pass it on to you, but you know, take some time when you have a moment to scroll through this, but we looked at this, and overwhelmingly the response was great, and some of the most consistent things that we saw were things like bathrooms and shelters and, you know, preserving the trees, and, you know, and I told the guys at Platform from the beginning that, you know, Troy is sort of known for its trees, so I think part of the way the park was even designed was to kind of work with the trees that are there. So, so yeah, that's really just like, in a nutshell, the feedback, and we took that feedback, Platform Group took that, we sat together, the Troy City Skate Park Unite board members sat together, reviewed all of the feedback, discussed what things we thought we should change, and that's where we get to the final design. So before I go too far into the final design, I want to share with you that Troy City Skate Park Unite, our mission is specific to the skate park itself. I mean, that's not saying we don't want bathrooms, we don't want shelters and picnic tables and seating and all that stuff, but as far as the funds we're, you know, trying to raise, it is specific to the skate park. So the way that we have the final design broken down is kind of like the Troy City Skate Park Unite scope and the scope that we would feel that the city would hopefully take responsibility for doing.
Gotcha.
And it's backed up with, you know, the feedback. So again, we're trying to, you know, think about this whole thing at a much bigger picture. So, so the skate park elements, so we've got a mini ramp with, and you can see here they're all kind of pinpointed down here as well, but mini ramp with bowl corner, which is this area right here. In the first conceptual design, this was not a bowled-in corner. It was like, it kind of had like a sidewalk, or it kind of just looked like this side. So we kind of, you know, put that in. And then in this area over here on the first conceptual design, that was where the basketball court was. And that wasn't a very popular thing to have in there. And most of the comments were along the lines of, there's already enough basketball courts in Troy, we don't need more. So, and then in this whole open air green space here, we did have 3 pump tracks. You're seeing now that we've condensed that into 1. Didn't really feel it was necessary to have 3. What we thought would be cool, you know, pump tracks, if you didn't already know, are very, very popular and seem to be growing at more and more skate parks. And what I have noticed from going to a lot of them is a lot of people wish you could race on them. So part of what, it's kind of hard to tell in this actual picture, but we want to make this pump track like a two-lane pump track. So you could actually have little races and competitions and whatnot. So,
Matt, on your survey results, it was skateboarding was 1 and BMX was 2, which I assumed BMX would probably be 2 because we've had this conversation before and people have brought it. What was the other, because you had a lot of responses in other, was there anything else activities-wise that people thought was on there?
Well, let me go back to that real quick.
I just didn't know if you knew off the top of your head, you saw something consistent.
Well, I mean, some of the things that were consistent were like a walking path, you know, like having a walking path around the perimeter of, which is also added into here. So you see here now, the first conceptual design did not have a walking path. So this will go all the way around the park, and then, you know, it would go up on the levee, back around, and so you could really walk the perimeter of the park. So,
Gotcha.
So people and parents that are there to, you know, because their kids using the park or whatever, there's something, you know, everyone, it's like you look at Duke Park and there's a path around the whole park.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty common thing that seemed to be in the feedback. Bathrooms was a big thing to be in the feedback. Seating was a big thing, so we've added seating. But as far as the general activities, like for the skate park specific, it was more to you know, skateboarding, BMX, you know, rollerblading and scooters. So, and that's kind of why it's important why I'm going into the scope of things so much is because most of the feedback was outside of our scope entirely, you know, and again, I feel like that's where, you know, a lot of communities and you know, skateboard advocates or whatever sort of miss the mark, is they're just kind of thinking about them and what their activity it is, and in this case, it sort of caters to the masses, you know. So, did I answer your question?
Yeah, that was
okay.
Fun, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, again, so change-wise, we just took it from being 3 pump tracks, condensed it into 1. We added a walking path around the perimeter. We took this side and we kind of bolted in, and you know, this would be the bathroom area, and this was in the other presentation, but the difference was the way it was presented in the first one, it was more like a building, like you could possibly have events inside this building. And for the most part, I mean, that would be great, but the feedback was like, just give us a bathroom.
Yeah.
So, and then as far as this water area, you know, there's still, I don't know that it would be that size, you know, but obviously with building anything like this, you've got to have drainage, so it's not to say that there's going to be this giant pond and a bridge across it, but if the water hits a level where you could make it, you know, more scenic and walk over it, and so we have that as an option. But and to speak to that too, you know, we got the geotech soil study. You guys gave us permission to do that, and CCSU covered the cost, and we appreciate you giving us the okay to do that, and we know that this will, you know, serve the community in years to come. So let's see. So I'm sorry, hold on one second. Where was I? So the skate park elements, the specialty work, this is literally what Platform Group does. You know, they specialize in building skate parks. So based on the area and what we're going for, the cost is between $1.5 and $1.8 million. And, you know, this is just some photos. I don't want to scroll too fast, but there is a lot, and
Matt, is that their estimate? That's just for the skate park elements and not shelters, not?
I believe so, because as part of this too, it kind of breaks down the unspecialty stuff, so. But these are just, you know, a little bit better bird's eye view type stuff. And, you know, seating was a big thing, so I think it's really cool how the design of this and the aesthetics of all this too is, you know, I think when most people think of skate parks a lot of times, they kind of think of it in the way it is now, where it's like just this flat piece of concrete with metal ramps, but I think this adds a very good visual aesthetic, and, you know, in my opinion, meets the standards that Troy has for their park systems, you know.
Would those be able to be skated on as well? Like, those seating areas built to be?
I mean, they probably could, because skaters find a way to skate everything, but I think just looking at this as a skater, I can tell that the designers, they thought about that, because I'm looking at this right now like, I don't know if I could skate that. Maybe jump up on here and off, but so they're really good at being able to figure out ways to make something aesthetically pleasing without, you know, while also thinking about the person who's going to be sitting there, like the mom or the dad or whatever, somebody who's not necessarily there to use the park. Nobody wants to sit down on wax, melted wax, because skaters and people who use the park put wax on everything. So I think a lot of these, yeah, I guess I'm not answering your question very well, but I'm looking at these now, and I don't think they're going to be that skatable, so I think their purpose will be more, you know, intentional. So, you know, shelters was another big one, so you're seeing back here, we've got shelters included, picnic tables, trash cans, and the seating kind of goes around the entire perimeter, so you're seeing seating, you know, here, you know, up here. So I guess it's kind of the same angle, but so this is where it starts to get into, you know, the master plan of the park elements, and again, this is all based on feedback that was given. So the bathroom building, a shade structure, site furnishings, walking paths, optional trailhead, perimeter, skate park connections, optional boardwalk, park entrance, restroom plaza, stormwater pond, multi-purpose deck, renovate parking with additional spaces. So yeah, we talked about the parking a lot because, you know, don't know that this would be a sufficient amount of parking for this scale of park, but until we really know how big this pond area is going to be, it's hard to say for sure. Site lighting, had a lot of comments about lights at the park. You guys have lights at like the basketball courts, and right? Is there a time limit on that? It's like
they time out. Park's closed at 11, so they time out at 11.
Gotcha.
In the summer.
Yeah, we've had a lot of, and Jeremy, I know you probably heard too, just with the few lights that are there, people will, you know, they're asking me like, those lights aren't working, and I'm like, well, they're on a timer. I mean, anyway, so this kind of breaks down that non-specialty work as far as what would fall under, you know, the city's scope from our perspective. But is there any questions you have up until this point? If I'm moving too fast, let me know.
No, I mean, obviously you're going through this process, and I mean, you know, you've done a great job working with Jeremy and coming and providing us updates, but a lot of this has to do with, your fundraising, right, where you're in the process.
Yeah.
So you were able to get the study done for the soil testing, which I assume came back and said, we're fine to, if we do want to move forward with anything. So what's the next step in the process for you guys right now?
Really, the fundraising is going to
Okay.
amp up from here. I mean, as of right now, we have right around $49,000.
Okay.
And we started in 2019, but we actually became a nonprofit in 2024.
Okay.
So when we started the nonprofit, we were at $12,000. So now we're at almost 50,000, and some of the money has been spent, on the geotech and
Sure.
some of the. So, if you put things in a bigger picture, it's we've raised well over $50,000. But everybody wants to know how much does this cost. So, and we wanted to really make sure we were smart about getting the feedback from the community and that way, moving forward, I don't know. I want to know too, how much it's going to cost. So, but just the way the park is now, there's a lot of space that's not being utilized.
Yeah.
It's right there on the bike path, so there's a constant flow of traffic of people on bikes and stuff like that, and so we're just really, getting a lot more momentum and just kind of looking for guidance from here. On how we can, set up a time to present this, maybe to city council or, get more people to take a look at this and maybe help us get to that.
I think park board's a great place to start, and maybe Jeremy, we can kind of have some conversations and see what maybe next steps would look like. But obviously, budgeting is going to be a huge part of this, right?
Yeah.
The city and trying to figure that out, and I mean that's. When we sit down here and build our park budget out and try to build a 3-year plan, that's something that Jeremy and I are kind of have to take a look at and seeing how does that fit into a 3-year plan for us, because that's basically what it looks like for us.
Yeah.
So, I don't see that being a one-year addition to something that they could.
Yeah.
We'll have conversations about that.
For sure. And to that point, we're getting ready to kick off our Parks and Rec master and strategic planning. So I think that would be important conversations as we start to meet with our consultant and looking at our park and rec system as a whole through the city to start to kind of plug in this conversation with the consultant, and they may even look at some of the data that you've already generated for the skate park as well to be able to incorporate into that plan and kind of as we look at kind of the park system and all the different areas of recreation and sports and all of these things. So that's another going to be, I think, a pivotal piece of it is to get this kind of plugged in with Structure Point. And we can do that. I mean, and there'll be, I know that we're going to be having some focus groups and some community meetings that maybe you could be a part of or attend as well. So
right,
and be able to kind of open the door for those conversations.
Well, yeah. I mean, I appreciate you guys giving us the time to show this. Again, I think just in this last year I mean, it sounds like a throw in the bucket for something like this, but it's a pretty huge step in a very short period of time. And now having this, I'm anticipating an even better 2025.
Yeah.
So we'll keep you guys posted on things, and if you guys want, if you have any more specific questions, I can get the guys from Platform Group in on a call soon, or if you have any immediate questions, I can three-way call them right now, or but for the most part, it's pretty cut and dry right now with the information
portion of it.
Yeah.
So this is kind of what you're saying that the city would essentially be responsible for. What is your portion again? Is that was the concrete?
I mean, what our basic focus is just the skate park elements. Yeah. But that said, I would hope that
So it was like 1.5? Is that what
Yeah,
you
it's
said?
between
1.5?
1.5 and 1.8.
So it's about 2/3 of it is you're kind of taking the burden on you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll do this until I die. I'm that committed to it, and I've spent my whole life dedicated to this, and it's not a selfish thing though. I mean, it's very much for the entire community. So
I think you've started in the right direction where you've been able to put your vision on paper and share that with people, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's a big thing. We have a lot of people come in here and say, here's what I want to do, but it's like, well, what does that look like? What are your timelines?
Yeah.
So you've done a lot of the heavy lifting here, which I really do appreciate. So I think Jeremy and I think it's just you continuing to have those conversations
Yeah.
with him as donations come in, so we can understand the timelines a little better. And then we'll have to obviously sit down and have some of those conversations when it comes to budgeting process. And then to your point, as part of how it fits into that master parks plan. But I think we all want you to be successful. I mean, I think for 10 years, as far as I've been here, I've gotten emails saying, hey, look at all the great things that Matt has done at this skate park. So we appreciate
awesome.
it, brother. And even the updated ramps, I walked by there today. It looks great. I mean, so.
Yeah, I mean, those guys
Yeah.
really,
Great, so.
they are so multi-talented when it comes to skate parks. I think, it's good to have that. I mean, as we talked about earlier, it's harder when you're building wooden obstacles because the lifespan isn't as long, but with the budget and getting something done right and safe, these guys did a great job, and so I appreciate it.
Well, anything from you at all, or Jeremy, anything else you think?
No, I don't think so right now. I just appreciate Matt putting this presentation on, and like I said, we're in communication a lot, and I'll stay in communication with you and you with me as well. As we move forward in our planning process, I'll make sure that we have a chance to get this plugged into those conversations.
Yeah, I mean, if we can get this in front of, more, city council or whatever, I'd love to be able to have that opportunity. But now that we have this, we know what we need to do to really ramp up fundraising efforts, and we'll do it. But we're always here to help. Jeremy always hits me up if anything's going on that I can help with. So yeah, thanks for the time.
Yeah, excellent.
All right.
Thank you.
Anything else to come before the park board today? Hearing none, hearing none, I'll make a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.